Hello, everybody. Hi, Discerning Eight. Hi, Barry. How you doing? How my love? Hi, hi, hi. I'm trying to get through this video of Candace Owens, and this has got my head just swimming. I mean, literally. Hi, Marie. How are you, sweetie? Oh, let me fix this. Wait, maybe not. Oh, it doesn't matter. Oh my goodness, this I've been looking at this video of Candace Owens and it has given me a virtual headache. There is so much going on with this that I can't think straight. Hello, Faith. How are you, sweetheart? Oh my goodness, as you guys can see, I'm talking about Candace Owens' explosive take on Charlie Kirk and the lies. Thank you, Marie. Yes, sweetie, it is a lot. It's really a lot. And it doesn't even touch on, oh, I'm good, Faith. I just got through watching this video. Well, I'm not even through the video. It's so much. It's just so much. But it still does not touch on what we as a community. I know that this is, bigger. I guess you could say it's bigger than anything we could imagine. But it's just so much. It's a lot. It's a lot. I had heard some chatter about Netanyahu and Israel and all that, and I just didn't really pay it much attention because, that situation over there is not as near and dear to us, you know what I'm saying, as a people. But this thing is even bigger than that. It's it lets us know just how corrupt this government could possibly be, allegedly. And we've got Candace Owens out here speaking about it, which further gives it a lot more credibility because, she's one of them. Even though she's one of us, she's one of them. Oh, honey, thank you, girl. Listen, this thing has got my drawers in a bunch. It's too much. Hi, Dawn. You'll be making dinner. What's for dinner tonight? I'm curious. But yeah, Faith, this shit is too much. And it is shit. Cuz I still feel a kind of way about him. Hey, Kendra. How you doing, love? No long time see. See, I told you I'm tired. Yes, they were good friends, which makes this more and more. Uh, she knows a lot more than she's letting on. Pork chops and cheesy potatoes. I'm coming over. Where's my keys? Baby, can you lock the house up? I'm going over Don's house for dinner. No, I can't. I can't. I don't have enough gas in the car. Dang. Well, good, Kendra. I'm just glad to see y'all here, because maybe y'all can make some sense of this as well. It's just a lot. But I want to thank you, Discerning Eight, for turning me on to this Candace Owen video. Hello, Chandra. How are you? Good to see you. Oh my God, this has got me so exhausted. I mean, I have never. Hi, Camille. I have never been so exhausted in watching a video in my life. And maybe because it's Candace, because I'll be truthful, I'm not the greatest Candace Owens fan either. However, I do take her seriously with regards to what she knows about certain things, politics and whatnot. Oh my God. And she made a very valid point that the government intentionally loads us with all of this information to confuse us. And you get so inundated to the point where you just say, you know what, just forget it. Whatever y'all figure out, you figure it out. But this woman has some receipts. She's got some receipts that she's not letting out right now. She dropping names. And I thought it might behoove us to listen. Now, I do also have Malcolm Jamal Warner's mother also did an interview on ABC. Yes, it gets exhausting with all of this hatred. It's like an overload. It is. It is. It's quite an overload. And see, my focus has not been on the international aspect of it all. I'm looking at it in terms of internal culture issues, because let's be real, this man was not, how can I tactfully put this? He had a lot to say about a lot of stuff, not just Israel. He had a lot to say about us as a community. And I don't condone anybody being unalived in that manner. But there's always a but. Bible tells me you live by the sword, you die by the sword. And his tongue was his sword. Now, I also believe that two things can be correct at the same time. There's a lot more to this whole story than his stance on certain things here, because there are some questions about this young man. He's not being very cooperative. As a matter of fact, I forgot to pull up the video on that as well. But I am so videoed out. I really am. I got 3 videos to play. And if I got to pull up one more video, let me shut up. I don't want to say it because I'm not. I'm not going to do that. But you know what I'm saying. It's just very overwhelming information. And it's by design that we are overwhelmed. Like I said, I'm not a fan. I didn't know this man from Adam before all this took place. And from what I've seen thus far, I'm still not a fan. But it opened a can of worms that could definitely have some serious repercussions on this country as a whole. And we need to at least try to make ourselves aware of it. Yeah. And you know what, Marie? You are absolutely correct. When you hear what this video has to say, and mind you, this is from Candace Owens. She's a Republican. And she's speaking out because that was her friend. And what you just said is in line with what she's saying as well. So, you can't help but wonder, okay, and I don't want to give away too much of what she says, but she's definitely painting a picture that is not Not very nice. Not very nice. Not very attractive for our country at all. Looks like we might have had a scapegoat here. And it's not us that they're concerned about, it's what's going on overseas. So this man may have been put, yeah, this man may have been put in a very, very compromising position because of what other powers that be wanted from him. And, we've got so many different demographics speaking on this because he had things to say about those demographics. He spoke out against the LGBTQ. Hi, LaWanda. He spoke out about LGBTQ. He had derogatory things to say about the African American community. But the things that she's talking about has nothing to do with either of those things. So, yes, he was a very controversial man. That he was. So this thing is a lot more than it is. Sorry, had a doctor's appointment. Oh, okay, Michelle. Are you okay, love? I'm glad we're here too, and I'm glad you're here as well, Michelle. Matter of fact, let me put on some music. I hope it doesn't put me to sleep. Oh boy. A diabetic check. Are your numbers low? Are they okay? I hope all went well at your doctor appointment. Yes. I need to go back to the doctor as well. Oh boy. Excuse me. I think I've got something set up for October for this sports medicine thing. And they're really dragging their behind on dealing with my back issues. So plus, I am really ready to get out of daycare. How about that? I'm good, sweetheart. I don't need to rest. I'm just, it's kind of overwhelming, all the information. And I had a rough day today, too. 2 appointments for October. Oh, boy, LaWanda. Oh, okay. Coming down, which is good, was really high in the high 20s. I had a change of insulin. Our measurements are different. Okay, Michelle. Well, I'm glad to hear that it's coming down. That's important. Very important. Absolutely. So, for those of you who may have forgotten to hit the like button, please do so. I'm sure most of you already did. And I realize doing it on your television can be kind of cumbersome. So if you're watching it on TV, you're addicted to sugar and carbs. Me too. Oh my goodness. Yes, sirree. Yeah, it was a crazy day today. My licensor came by to do her annual check. Now, mind you, I have one child right now. Hi, Nadine. And it's something about state or any kind of government entity. It seems as though they just change their mind about everything whenever they get a whim. And I've got one child, 15 months old, and they're stressing me over stuff that this child doesn't even have contact with. They want to tell me what to clean my house with. Oh, it's a long story, y'all. I'm not gonna go off into that. But it's just pushing me further and further away from wanting to continue doing childcare. It's too much bureaucracy. Hi, Retretta. I'm doing good. How are you, my love? I figured that this would be my last child. And I made it very clear. This is my last child. I'm not trying to get more kids. But she's focusing on the future kids. You have to have this, and this in place because for future, I'm not getting future kids, chick. Would you stop it? Stop it. I've had the same size fire extinguisher for 15 years. And this chick comes in and tells me today that my fire extinguishers are not big enough. She closed hers down, LaWanda. I bet I understand why. You get to a certain age, you don't want to be bothered with that nitpicky crap. Because that's what it boils down to. They change things left and right and then want to look at you side-eyed if you're not in compliance. I have so many fire extinguishers, it's ridiculous. I've got 2 of them that are about, I can't even fit it in the picture. They're pretty large. It says too small. Well, it wasn't too small the last 5-6 times y'all came by here. Oh, they started getting the COVID. Man. Well, what they did here is when COVID hit, they had just added some new codes, some new whack codes. Washington Administrative Compliance is what that stands for. And COVID hit simultaneously to the new codes. So because of COVID, nobody was coming in. Hi, Keefa. How are you, love? So, I didn't have anyone coming in to tell me what to do for like 2 or 3 years. But in the meantime, they had kind of put off making us adhere to these new whack codes. But now they're trying to make us do it. And I'm like, come on, man. Come on. I've got so many fire extinguishers in my house, you wouldn't believe it. And they're concerned that my fire extinguishers are not big enough. They're big enough, trust and believe. If I've got 2 of them in one spot, what does that mean? I got double. You know what I'm saying? I have overcompensated in the way of fire extinguishers. But no, that ain't good enough. I told that woman today, I said, you know what? You are pushing me closer and closer to retirement more than you know. You're so concerned about the older kids. I don't have older kids. I have a 15-month-old who's barely up to my kneecap. And you're concerned about a cabinet at my chest height. Get real. They want you to make all these changes. Changes take money. If you were paying me more, I wouldn't mind it. But it's just a lot. It's overwhelming. It's overwhelming. So I think I'm going to go get me another job. Isn't that funny? 63 looking for a job. Wouldn't that be a kick? Oh. Because I will not put the load on my husband. I will not do that. I never have, never would. It takes 2 to survive these days. I'm going to give this a little bit more time for people to come in. In the meantime, that's me, 63, nearly 64, and looking for work. I'm telling you, Michelle, it is more than an ocean. But I've got a couple of ideas. I know I've talked to my union director. Me and her have been good friends since high school. I told her, I said, hey, I need a job. Hook me up. And she wouldn't mind doing it. She wouldn't mind at all. I would have to go out and, pay visits to different providers, and that would probably behoove them, because we have an issue in the childcare field, even in the childcare field, with regard to not necessarily African American childcare providers, but other providers from other countries that are legally here, but English is their second language. Absolutely discerning aid. Yes, Retretta. I think I mentioned before, excuse me, I mentioned before on this platform, and I think also on Lady Letitia's platform, there is a website. There's two websites, as a matter of fact. One is called voices.com, and they deal exclusively in audio books, things of that nature, audio type readings, or something, or voiceovers for that matter. And then there's another one called ATX, if I'm not mistaken, atx.com. They specialize in audio books, and they're actually they're owned by Amazon. So I'm going to get online. AARP is hiring. I'm going to check them out. Because I'm getting tired of picking up this boy. He's heavy. And my husband, he does all he can to help. And then he got restless. God bless this man. This man gets up at the crack of dawn, before the crack of dawn, to accept this baby. And then turns around and gets ready for work in the afternoon, gets off at midnight, and rinse and repeat the next morning. It's, oh wow, it's amazing. AARP has helping hands. I'll check them out too, Retretta. But I gotta bust a move. I mean, I like the money. The money's good. But it's not worth it. I mean, not for what they're asking for versus what I'm dealing with. I have one child. I could see if I had 4 or 5 kids. I could see if I had 2 or 3. But one, a baby, man, they want me to lock up all my cabinets. This kid ain't gonna be able to reach these cabinets until he's a teenager. Are you serious? And they're very intrusive. Okay, I'll give him a call, Retretta. I certainly will. Because I'm about to lose my temper. I'm about to lose my temper. That lady, when she left here today, she says, I'll give you some time to, I know you're upset. Yeah, I'm upset. Come back some other time. Matter of fact, don't come back. Just email me the crap you want me to do, and I'll let you know if I get it done or not. Well, your gate doesn't shut properly. What are you talking about? What are you talking about? So I take her out there, the very gate that she's talking about. Her lazy tail she didn't have sense enough that if you want to close the gate, those kind of gates that they're pretty old fashioned. They have a lever on one side that you push up the pole comes up, so it releases itself from dragging the floor or dragging the ground. And we're talking about on grass. Then it has that little latch that it's U-shaped, and it just clamps onto the adjoining fence post. It won't close. It won't close. Do you know how to operate this fence? It's as old as the hills. All you do is push this up, pull it, let it drop, and then put the latch on. Golly. Yeah. No, I don't take orders in my home, Lawanda. This woman told me what I can or can't mop my floors with. I told her, you got to be crazy. You must got me twisted. I don't have a nasty house, but I'll be damned if I let you come in my house and tell me what I can use to clean my floors. Well, the children are going to be walking on the floor. The children are walking on concrete outside. Make that make sense. They can walk in dirty grass, dirty concrete, but I can clean my floors, and you got a problem with that. Yes, they all are. They all are. They're all disrespectful. And half of them is so young, they just now starting to have babies themselves. They don't understand. Some things you just have to let go. Even if it is for the kids' safety. I understand safety. But kids are gonna get dirty at times. You want me to use bleach water to clean everything. I got brand new floors downstairs, wood grain floors. What do I look like mopping my floors with bleach? I wanted to ask her if she was special. So I showed her a container that I have that I use. I buy it by the gallon. It's concentrated, works really good. I always push this stuff. It's called Shock It Clean. Have y'all ever heard of Shock It Clean? I live by this stuff. It gets everything out. You can use it on your clothes. You can use it on your floors, your tile. You can use it in your bathroom, your toilet, your tub, everything. Carpets. It gets all kind of stains out. Wonderful product. And she says I'm going to have to ask for a waiver to use that. I got your waiver. You can unlicense me if you want. Oh, I did, Camille. I did. I really did. She could see I was upset. And she was here for 2.5 hours. Going through my drawers in my kitchen. Like, what are you going through my drawers for? There's nothing in there for you. Well, I have to make sure that there's nothing in them that the children could get hurt. You keep saying children, heifer. I have a baby. He can't reach these damn drawers. Hell yeah, bleach is bad for you. Oh, okay, the Spanish cleaning products. You have to let me know about that, Marie. Don't tell me how to mop my floors. Thank you. She says, well, do you use it anywhere else? I said, yes, I use it all over the place. I use it in my bathroom. I use it in my kitchen. Yeah. Well, you're going to have to get a waiver to use that. I said, so you're going to tell me what to clean my bathtub with? A place where the kids don't go? They don't get in my bathtub. They got their own bathtub at home. Thank you. She need to go to the hood for real, for real. But you know what? That's bureaucracy. She's one of those bureaucrats. Comes through here all nice and And you can see, she's got her butt on her shoulders because she thinks she got something over on me. Uh, you can take my license if you want to, boo boo. Exactly. Exactly. But that's dealing with state. That's dealing with the state. It's just like dealing with the federal government, except it's on the state level. Well, kids don't get in bathtubs at daycare, certain. Thank you. But here's the other thing, and this is where I got her, Keepa. I told her, I said, you want my honest opinion? I said, I think that you guys are intentionally trying to maneuver home child cares out of business so people will pour their children into the child care centers. And that's not good because there's a lot of parents that don't trust child care centers. Child care centers, a lot of kids fall through the cracks. They're not supervised enough. Sabotage. You're leaning on me about one child, one baby. I've been in business for 15 years. Never, not one incident have I ever had where those children were at risk. And I said, but what you're trying to do is put us little people out of business. And you're going to fool around and it's going to backfire. That's what's going to happen. It's going to backfire. Because last I heard, I'm hearing a lot of bad stories. Bad stories coming out of daycare centers. Exactly. It just burns me up. But over here, there has been abuse and even... Mm-hmm. Exactly, Michelle. Exactly. My families have always been like family to me. I don't operate like a daycare center. They would have a fit if they knew what time this baby got here in the morning. They would have a fit. And I didn't tell them either. And I'm not going to say it over the YouTube streets because I know there's certain people out there that would love to try to start some mess. So they can sit there and wonder. But it is in compliance. I will say that. Let's see. We got 37 people. Gone are those 150 people days. Huh? Remember there used to be 150 people in here? That was back in them Angie Stone days. Let me turn this down just a little bit. Okay. The perps have a record and shouldn't be working with children, but the government is worried about their privacy. Yeah. What about the babies and children? Exactly. They claim that they're focused on the safety of the children and babies, but in all actuality, they're just covering their own butts. That's all. They're covering their own behinds. And when I told her I was on the steering committee that negotiated our contract, our union contract, she was like, oh yeah, you don't think I don't know nothing. That little contract y'all negotiated, the state negotiated with us, I was on that committee. And I know how much you're supposed to pay me, so don't play with me. I hate to have to get that way with people, but sometimes people will push you and they'll act like you don't know no better. They really do. They act like you don't know no better. They act like, oh, well, I have this job. It's my responsibility to monitor daycare providers and yada, yada, yada. But you just had a baby. Exactly. I got kids and grandkids, but you want to tell me what's best for the kids. Come on, man. You just had a kid. Your kid is the same age as this baby I got here. And you want to be the expert. Man, please. Well, they shouldn't watch too much television. Okay, well, you do that at home. Don't tell me what to do in my house. Sometimes I have my TV going all day long just for the noise. That don't mean that they're just sitting there watching TV. They be doing anything that they can color. They can. I've got this little boy to the point where he's getting ready to color in coloring books and stuff. So what? I need to turn my TV off so he can color in a coloring book? Miss me. That's just beyond ridiculous. Almost said another word. I can't use that word on YouTube. Well, enough of my venting. Enough of my venting. I'm going to go ahead and pull up the Candace Owens. Well, you know what? Maybe I should pull up Charlie Kirk's wife's video first. Because I got some feelings about that too. I'm kind of on I'm having a lot of feelings about this Charlie Kirk situation. And my initial stance, I still believe that way. But after hearing what Candace Owens has to say, there's a lot more to it. And like I said before, I'm not a big fan of Candace Owens. But it was very interesting because she's in this. This is personal for her. This thing is personal. And she's literally going up against the government. She's going up against the very party she's a member of. So it's got to be something juicy. Okay. So what I'll do, I'm just going to mute this music so you guys can hear. Here we go. That should be okay. Something is definitely off, Dawn. And it took me to listen to her. It was very overwhelming to listen. But she had a lot to say. Yes, LaWanda. I think she's being, I don't know if I'd want to put my neck on the line like that. Honestly. And, FYI, I got YouTube Premium. So I shouldn't have any ads popping up in the middle of the videos. I've got a month of YouTube Premium. Yes, I don't know if I'd put my neck on the line like this because you going up against some big dogs here and abroad. But she's pretty confident. She got receipts. You do, and you still get ads. Even on the videos, Michelle, you're supposed to not be able to get videos if you get premium. At least no videos, ads, ads that'll interrupt a video. Now, if that's the case, then I'll turn this thing off. What's the point? But in the meantime, let's see how it works. I know it worked yesterday. Again, this is Candace Owens. Well, I have about 4 or 5 open at the same time. Oh, okay. Well, that makes sense. Hello, Miss Purple. You don't get ads at all, Discerning? Yeah, that's what I'm looking forward to. Okay. And content created. Okay, cool. Well, I'm going to pull up good old Candace here. Let me share my screen. And where is it? There we go. Alrighty then. If I see that stuck poop again, I'm going to scream. Oh my God. I know exactly what commercial you're talking about. Get the stuck poop out. Oh my God. Especially if you're eating dinner, huh? I'm like, oh my God, not right now. Not right now. Please don't show me this video right now. Or this ad. Stuck poop. Man. Anywho, we're going to go ahead. Dawn says, what? Oh my God. Oh, and you guys, again, I don't know if I mentioned it yesterday, but please keep Jess up in prayer. I know most of you already know that she lost a cousin. Well, she lost 2 more relatives in one day this past weekend, both on the same day. Now, she knew that they were both on their way out, and I've talked to her about it, and she was really having a hard time. But to lose them in one here and one in Portland, she was driving back and forth from here to Portland. It's like a 3-hour drive, and you're working full time, and you've got a daughter to raise and family obligations, and it just wore her out so much. And she was supposed to go up to Portland, and she was so exhausted that she had to turn around and come home. And when she turned around and came home the next morning, she got a phone call. One was gone. A couple hours after that, another one was gone. So they both died on the same day. She just had a funeral for her cousin. So keep her up in prayer, because they come in threes, they say. And I'm hoping that this part is over for her. But she's really struggling right now. So we got to keep her up in prayer. We're family. Yeah, it is. It's a lot. Exactly. And I didn't want her to feel guilty or anything like that about not going up there. Being so tired, she could have gotten in an accident or anything on the road like that, So, God knew what he was doing. God knew exactly what he was doing. Hi, Urban. How are you, sweetheart? So, yeah, just keep her up in prayer. It's a lot. She does. She really does need a break. And God knew. God knew exactly what he was doing. He knew exactly what he was doing. So let's just keep her up in prayer. And she'll be back. She was here yesterday for a little bit. She was on the road. She was driving. So, she's still meeting her family obligations. And I appreciate her doing that. Auntie Candace Owens have a bodyguard. She has been at Stack of Important is also another. She has been out there when that Kamala Harris was exposed by Candace. So she has been in the spotlight. You're talking about Candace has been in the spot. Yeah. Yeah, she has been in the spotlight. Oh, you've been busy, huh, Urban? Well, that's a good thing. That can only mean a good thing. Absolutely. Well, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to get started with this. I think I've blabbered long enough. So I'm going to go ahead and play Candace Owens. Yes, a lot will come out. This is Candace's podcast. And this is from YouTube, so I'm shouting out Candace Owens. Hi, Lisa Howard. How are you, love? Okay, here we go.
All right, you guys, we're going to jump right into this with no introduction. There's a lot that I would like to speak with you guys about. Can't wait to hear your feedback. A lot of lies that are being put out there, narratives that I would say are half truths or just misrepresentations entirely. And I don't really see the reason for that. First and foremost, to let you know, last week was not a dream. Charlie Kirk, my friend, is dead. And he was publicly executed. I want to make that clear. Charlie Kirk was publicly executed before the world. And as we are all searching for answers, the ones that are being supplied to us are not making a lot of sense. And some people, I would say, are speaking too much, are speaking on behalf of other people. I don't like it. I will say something that I think brought the world a lot of relief, also, sadness. We were grieving with her, was when his wife, Mrs. Erica Kirk, addressed not just the nation, but the entire world. Her words were very powerful. And we just have a very brief portion of her remarks, which you should pursue in their entirety. But here she is.
If you thought that my husband's mission was powerful before, you have no idea.
Just to let you guys know, I have the full video of this this statement that she made. This is just partial.
You have no idea what you just have unleashed across this entire country. In this world, you have no idea. You have no idea the fire that you have ignited within this wife. The cries of this widow will echo around the world like a battle cry. To everyone listening tonight across America, the movement my husband built will not die. It won't.
Okay, let me interject something here. I am not a Charlie Kirk fan. I'm going to say it again. I am not a Charlie Kirk fan, and I'm not a fan of his wife's. They were one, so they had the same beliefs. I'm going to make that very clear. The other thing I want to make clear about this little video here that she made, it looks very, very staged. And yes, Kifa, I agree with you. I don't believe Tyler did it either. After what I just heard on this video, it's very conceivable that Tyler didn't do it. Hi, Diane. I'm trying to be as open as I can, Michelle. The thing is that this man still had some ideologies that I did not agree with. Now, the Candace Owens part is something about it's geared more toward Israel and Netanyahu. Okay, her take on all this, and that's fine and dandy because this man had his hands in a lot of pots. And like I said earlier today, I had never heard of this dude. I didn't know this man from Adam until he was unalived on the 10th. Okay, so his stance on African Americans was mind-boggling. It was mind-boggling, to say the least. Hello, Carmela. And this video with his wife, yes, the casket video is crazy, very staged. It was almost like we're going to push this narrative as far as we can and get as much sympathy as we can, and we're going to hold steadfast to what we believe and what you may not or may not want to believe. Exactly, Keepa. I don't wish that on anybody. I don't believe anybody should be unalived in that fashion. But I'm also very adamant in what the Bible says. When you live by the sword, you die by the sword. And it doesn't necessarily mean a real sword that you hold in your hand. Your sword can be your tongue. Okay, Faith says, well, I knew about him and a lot of the others because I do follow politics, not because I like them, but because I need to understand what was going on in this country. Exactly. This is why I'm showing the Candace video. Urban, you okay? Is Tyler being accused of Kirk? Little no, we're not talking about Tyler Perry, sweetheart. This is the young man that they have in custody for the assassination of Mr. Kirk. This is not Tyler Perry. Kifa says they GoFundMe for his family has raised $4 million so far, allegedly. And that's the other thing that really gets my goat. This man was already a millionaire. And we've got people like Elon Musk and other millionaires that are throwing money at this family as if they're destitute. Here, this is for the children's college fund. That's already taken care of. Oh my goodness, yeah. I mean, it's unbelievable. Is Chris? Did I miss Crystal? Exactly, Faith. Everybody has a freedom of speech, and because I don't agree with you, does it mean that I have to cause harm to you? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. And yes, his name is Tyler, but I just wanted it to be clear that it's not Tyler Perry. Good point, Kifa. Well, he would not go to college there. Dad is totally against that. But I want you to go ahead and hear the rest of this. I don't know. To me, it's a speech that she was told to make. This, I really don't believe that she's doing this on her own. This is very. There's other people involved with this whole thing. Exactly, Urban. Exactly. You hit the nail on the head.
I refuse to let that happen. It will not die.
Beautiful, powerful words. Charlie had just one wife. What we got to see across this weekend is that there were so many people around the world, like she said, who were deeply moved by Charlie Kirk throughout their lives and, of course, have been deeply moved by this tragedy. And what she is describing there, that fire, a lot of us are feeling it. I am definitely feeling it. I had a very tough weekend, I will say this. My entire life, I've not been much of a crier. It is not my choice emotion. I'm not a person who bursts into tears, and some people are like that. This weekend, I didn't just cry. I wept. I wept for Charlie. Obviously, I didn't make it through the tribute to him.
One other thing I wanted to mention. Hi, Catherine. When I first watched this video of Candace, my first impression was, I don't know, I got the impression that she was taking this opportunity to let everybody know that this was her friend. And you know how some people can make things about themselves or try to identify with what's with what's trending. I'll put it like that. And of course, we all know that this man is trending right now. Um, I just thought it was kind of an opportunity for her to, kind of draw attention to herself, so to speak. But as you go on further into listening what she's saying, you really get an unction to think that, that she's really in this for real. Faith says, I think the whole education system in itself conditions you to think the way they want you to. Not unless you read other books outside the curriculum. You will only know what they want you to know. Absolutely. I'm a crier, Michelle. Michelle says I'm not a crier either. I'm a big old crier. I ain't gonna lie. Retreader says we also need belief in Jesus Christ as well. Faith without works is dead. Absolutely. Absolutely. Let me go ahead with her.
On Friday, and for those of you who wanted to see me in a moment of weakness, that was delivered to you. Fair. Yeah, I watched my friend get shot in the neck. Yeah, that's what happened. I just want to say that he was publicly executed again before the world. The question is why, right? When you are in a state of grief, you go through a lot of emotions, and I'm arriving right now at a lot of anger, the audacity of some people. It has taken much restraint and prayer, and I had to speak with a priest. I had to go to confession. These emotions that I am having, wanting to respond with Charlie in his own words, really. People that are coming forward and saying this is what he thought and this is how he should be remembered. It just feels really inappropriate to me. I didn't know what to do other than to scroll through messages between me and Charlie, regarding which there are a ton of them.
Hello.
And kept going back and watching the many videos of us dancing to the song Power. And it felt appropriate to reach out to Ye, speaking about things, talking about his mode when he wrote the song. When you wrote the song Power, why did we have it as our hype song? Because the song is about the ability to find it within yourself to become what you know you are capable of becoming inside of a matrix, when you just realize everything is dishonest, that everything is performative, that people are dishonest, that they are going to try to stop you from being great. In fact, it's the end of the song, the question that he asks at the end of the song, that's the most important. Ye asks, do you have the power to let power go?
That's a good question. That's a very good question. And it depends who you asking that question too. Who does have the power to let power go? That's a very, very good question. Yes, the audacity. Question is the audacity to set someone up. Auntie, I saw this video of Candace, all of it. Also, her and Charlie danced to R. Kelly songs. It was shown in the video. That's interesting. I hope everybody is more spiritual than religious. Amen to that. Because religion is what depletes you of your intuitiveness, spirituality, and the connection with the Almighty Source. That is very true. We've been so conditioned to walk a certain way, talk a certain way, think a certain way, behave a certain way. Hello, Desire and Fire. How are you, my love?
Do you have the power to say no to power? I told you guys that Charlie was going through a spiritual transformation at the end. And all of the usual suspects were really angry that I hinted towards that. What do you mean? You're not allowed to say that. They were attacking me, trying to make me fearful, to speak out and speak about the things that I know. I'm not feeling very fearful right now. I am, like I said, very angry. And I found, Charlie's favorite portion of the song. I'll show you the text between him and I, because this feels very relevant right now. This is, again, lyrics directly from the song Power, but
I'm doing fine, sweetheart. I'm doing just fine, love. I'm just taking a little camera break. Y'all know what I mean.
I just needed time alone with my own thoughts, got treasures in my mind, but couldn't open up my own vault. My childlike creativity, purity, and honesty is honestly being crowded by these grown thoughts. Reality is catching up with me. Taking my inner child, I'm fighting for custody with these responsibilities that they entrusted me. That's a moment where he is really speaking about how hard it is. Like when you're saying, no, this is what I believe. And they say, you're not allowed to believe that. You feel like you are fighting for custody of yourself. And I want to be very clear that I believe, in fact, I know that towards the end, Charlie was fighting for custody of himself. I want to say that. I want to say that plainly. And there are lies that are being told and they need to be slapped down right now. There's one person who's been out there acting like he is a widow.
Crystal, amen to that. Amen to that. They hang in black male college students. Is that not newsworthy? But here's the thing about it. We gotta refrain from coming to any conclusions, although it's not very hard to come to that conclusion based on what has been happening. But, they always go to that, oh, they unalived themselves. But it's very possible that this young man could have done so. I'm just saying, it's a possibility. But I'm going to refrain from giving my opinion on this until I hear all of the evidence and all of the information, because they only tell you what you want to hear. Sometimes we got to investigate for ourselves. Auntie, as people, when you know better, you do better. Just pray that everyone wants to do better. Absolutely. Yes, that's what I was told too, Michelle. But it's kind of funny that they're not reporting that now. They're not reporting that part. How did that happen? How do you have broken arms and legs? But I don't know where that information came from either. That's why I said this country is corrupt as hell. They only want us to know what they want us to know. Exactly, Camille. This is why I'm conflicted with this. Because she is an African American woman. And I can't see being a friend to someone who don't like my people. But what she's talking about goes beyond color. This is a global thing. Yes, Desire, that we were just speaking about that. As a matter of fact, I went on Lady Letitia's panel this morning on that very issue. And Charlie Kirk. So more than one thing can be true at the same time. We'll just see what we see. And it's up to us to decipher what's true and what's false.
Just saying the absolute most, tweeting first about what happened to Charlie, following it minute to minute, and doing hits in a foreign country, right? Like making time to do hits on Fox News, 2 of them. Bibi Netanyahu who's fighting, I think, like an 84 front war with everyone, made a lot of time for Charlie Kirk. You would have thought they were the best of friends, as close as him and Trump were. But I will say I don't recall Erica mentioning Bibi Netanyahu in her speech. The way he's presenting it is like he was I mean, this is just the worst loss for him, but I don't think that is the truth. In fact, I know for a fact that he is misrepresenting some things that happened there towards the end. So let's at first listen to what Bibi Netanyahu, just one day, less than 24 hours after Charlie died, what Bibi Netanyahu had to say on Fox News. Take a listen.
We're just heartbroken. Myself, my wife, my family, my son actually, on his 2019 visit to Israel, had lunch with him and his wife, Erica. We're shattered first as human beings because a great human being has been taken from us. Was an extraordinary friend. He said, he wrote me a letter on May 2nd this year. He said, one of my greatest joys as a Christian is advocating for Israel and forming alliances to defend Judeo-Christian civilization.
Hi, Barbara. How are you, my love? Faith said Candace family is Caribbean and it's not about color. Color is something that is used to distract us all. And you're 100% true right there. You're correct in that. That's why I'm conflicted in all of this. Because there's so many different elements to this man. I'm not a fan. I'm not. I'm still not. I don't like the stance he took on black people. But there's something more sinister going on with this issue. Something way more sinister. And it can impact not just African Americans, but all Americans.
A few weeks before the tragedy yesterday, I called him and I spoke to him and I said, please come to Israel. I invited him to Israel. And sadly, that visit will not take place. But he was a defender of our common Judeo-Christian civilization. He was unbelievably excited to walk in the footsteps of Jesus here. He valued our bond, the bond between America and Israel. He did so many things to defend free speech. He had his truth. He stood up for it. But he said, you can come and debate me. He invited that debate. He certainly didn't invite the violence, the horrible violence that tried to silence him. And, this is a worldwide problem. The people on the extremes, the Islamists, the radical Islamists, and their union with the ultra progressives, they often speak about human rights. They speak about free speech, but they use violence to try to take down their enemies, whether it's President Trump, who's been almost assassinated twice, or, they try to kill me here too. But they got Charlie Kirk, and it's just heartbreaking.
Wouldn't you agree that our very government is just as guilty of that against us as well? It's just not all about Israel. I understand that y'all got a lot going on over there. We got a lot going on over here. There's many of us that aren't really into what's going on over there. But I've noticed that, people are only concerned with what they know. And two things can always be true at the same time. This is a diabolical situation. Absolutely, they silenced Martin Luther King. I have a problem, and I'm going to continue to say it. I don't care if anybody has a problem with me about it. I had a problem with this woman publicly making an exploitive spectacle of her crying over her husband's casket. I'm sorry. Absolutely, Michelle. It's unnecessary police brutality. Yep. And that's the key. It's what the government supports. Just like our government allegedly supported the very thing that they're claiming they hate that happened to this man. I'm gonna let her tell the story. I'm not gonna dig my own grave. I'll let her dig her own.
Who is they, BB? Who is they who got Charlie Kirk? We don't have to actually speak conspiracies. I'm just wondering, because you said a lot there, but it really sounded like it was about BB trying to establish a narrative that we saw reinforced by a lot of people, that, Charlie kind of made it almost sound like he died for Israel. I mean, Trump's account even tweeted out a photo of Charlie and an American flag and also an Israeli flag, a bit of AI used, like this is just who Charlie was. He says Judeo-Christian values. He spoke to him 2 weeks ago. Again, you would think he was busy fighting this 97,000 front war, but no, he's letting you know that he just randomly picks up the phone and calls Charlie Kirk and invites him to Israel. Why would BB do that? It seems like maybe there's a little more to the story. No, there definitely is a little bit more to the story. First and foremost, that letter he is holding up, he is severely misrepresenting. Those sentences are real, but I am calling upon Bibi Netanyahu, the dear friend to Charlie Kirk, to publish the letter's entire contents. Like, don't start with just 2 sentences. Publish the entire thing. You're holding it. I'm saying you're severely misrepresenting the contents, that in May, Charlie was concerned about Israel and their influence on American politics and how they were pushing things that he felt were in conflict with his beliefs, free speech here in America. Bibi's holding it up like Charlie just in May said, hey, you know what? I just want to write a love letter to Israel. That's how it was presented. Would you guys agree? That's not how it happened. Now, regarding that phone call and that invite, that also needs to be contextualized. And I'm going to do that. But first, Skylar, can we bring in a clip of Charlie from a month ago speaking about the kind of pressure that he was under? Because I think that will also help to further.
Now, the thing with Malcolm X, what they want us to believe is his own people killed him. That's what they want us to believe. But if you're preaching what they were preaching for the black man, the black family, and when I'm saying them, I'm talking about the Nation of Islam. When the Nation of Islam was preaching separatism, you don't like us? Okay, fine. We get up out of here. I find it difficult to believe that those same people that had that same idea would take out one of their own simply because his mind started changing a little bit. It's almost the same narrative that she's telling us about, except it's our government instead. I'm conflicted with that as well. I know that it was some of his own, but why some of his own? It can't be simply because he chose to separate from the Nation of Islam. I'm going to separate from the Nation of Islam and they're going to take me out in a couple days. No, it's a little bit more to it. It's a little bit more complicated. There's some clear hands in all this. Hi, Prophetic Proverbs. How are you, sweetheart? Hi, Millionaires Cove. So again, I'm there's 2 things can be true at the same time. Yeah, absolutely, Barbara. She pushing that envelope. She is truly pushing that envelope. And you know what? I want her to keep on pushing it. Because like I said, I'm not a big Candace Owens fan. I'm not a great fan. I ain't gonna lie. because you took the other side when you should have been taking your own people's side. But that's just me. And now your friend is gone. Your friend is the guy that spewed hatred things about your people. So again, I'm conflicted with all this. I'm conflicted with her. But she's putting her tail on the line right now too. So it's noteworthy to at least listen to what she's talking about, because this could be much more than just the separation of races or the separation of genders or what people choose as their gender. This is getting into international issues that we as a people aren't even concerned with so much as, the government is. He, CK, could only repeat what he was always taught, but from a spiritual aspect, he saw that he was taught wrong. That's why he didn't see Candace's color. He saw any human being. I believe that. But money love money. Ideals love ideals. When you share a common thing, you're going to be attracted to that. And that's who she rocked with. She rocked with those people. So I could see her becoming his friend. But now her friend's gone. Absolutely, Crystal. Anyone who mobilizes and influences the masses of people, especially the youth, is a threat. That's right. I've never been a fan. I really haven't. Absolutely, Barbara. And that's my whole point. There's different layers to this Charlie Kirk trip. There's more layers than just what he spewed about us or LGBTQ. He was starting to change his mind on some other things that really had nothing to do with us. But he was starting to have some second thoughts about who he was standing for across that globe. I'll let her tell the story.
Or contextualize this. Take a listen.
I'm an American citizen. Yes, I want Israel to win. Yes, I'm a Christian. But some of the mess, and you've seen how I've been treated, Megan, by some, not all, by some.
No, it's very irritating.
It's
been
almost
so
as if
unfair. They were coming after you after Turning Point for, among other things, that you had Dave Smith there. Dave Smith is allowed to criticize Israel. You had both sides. The Israeli side was overrepresented.
No, you're not allowed to. It's even worse than that. Again, I just want to repeat for the fifth time. I love Israel. I want Israel to win. But my moral character is now being put into question, Megan. Not my decisions. Not like, hey, are you doing this? Is it smart or is it dumb? But no, I am a bad person if I do this. And I could go, you saw it, Megan. It was trending on Twitter, thousands of tweets and text messages. And if I were to be charitable and generous, I will say the people that are attacking me are in a hyper paranoid state because they're at war, and war tends to make things black and white, and you're a hammer looking for a nail. So I'm trying to be charitable, Megan. Literally, I'm trying to cut as much slack as I can, right? They go, okay, what would it be like if all of a sudden I'm starting to see a pattern of behavior similar to what my grandparents saw in 1930s Germany online? How would I behave? So that's like my charitable kind of overcompensation spirit at this.
Okay, so with all that said, how does that feel? I know you said that, Barbara. See, it's one thing to say words, words are important, but it's about your actions. It's about your actions. And he spent more time debating with young people that are still wet behind the ears. I look at it as pre-programming personally. Exactly, Retretta. This individual says he doesn't believe in empathy. He said he doesn't believe in empathy, and the God I serve does. That's right. Hey, Jess. Hello, my love. I just find it ironic that we're celebrating a man that we didn't know who he was until he lost his life. That, and I'm not saying all of us. The majority of us had never heard of him. Okay, we're focusing and talking about a man that we'd never talked about before. Our government is celebrating this man, treating him as if he's royalty. And I'm not saying that to be crass or anything like that, but not too many private citizens get the flag flown at half mast at the White House, when other people in politics didn't get that same treatment, especially Democratic senators and their families. There's certain criteria that pertains to what qualifies an individual to be, or what should I say? Let me get my words right. When is it appropriate to fly a flag at half staff? When is it appropriate? And I'm just talking off the top of my head. Hi, Lizzie. How are you, sweetheart? Half staff. Usually it's, attributable to the passing of notable politicians, presidents, senators, people like that. That's true faith until they start showing their ass. That's how we knew who they were. This one's, he didn't get, I guess he didn't get a long enough chance to show his, because we found out about his ass showing after he left the world. But his body was transported on Air Force 2 by the military. Exactly. John McCain was one of the greatest senators in the Senate ever. And it didn't matter to me whether he was Republican or Democratic. I honored that man because he was a good senator. But he didn't get that kind of treatment. Exactly, designed for. He's not even a government official. He is not even a politician. Technically he's an influencer. He's a political influencer. But we've got people in higher places that are using this man and his demise to get something that they want. And that's the reason I'm airing this video, because there's where the distraction comes in. See, us as a people, we get distracted because of the color issue. The LGBTQ gets distracted because of the LGBTQ issue. And while we're distracted talking about the things that this man spoke about, we've got people over here that are edifying him and are potentially the ones that took him out. Make that make sense. Let me go ahead and finish. This is why I think she's out of sorts right now. I believe this is why Candace is out of sorts. Retretta says, Auntie, lots of people didn't know Malcolm X, but I did. I remember like yesterday I was living in New York City and he got, you know what, up from where my mother stayed. Yes, the police handcuffed a black man. Yes. Don't forget the movie Spike Lee made, because that's the story they've been telling for years. Yeah, he was taken out by his own people. That's only part of the story, I believe. That's just part of the story. Because if you think about it, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad was not all that honorable. Let's take some of the heat off of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and all those kids he's having out of wedlock. Let me put some of this focus and spotlight on Malcolm. Me either, Lizzie. We got something in common. You in Australia and I'm in the US and I never heard of him either. But here we are talking about him. Never heard of him. We got people in America losing their jobs now because they don't feel moved that, something happened to him. I'm not wallowing. I'm not happy that he was done away with. But people are now being arrested for speaking their First Amendment right. Kendra, you don't know who he is or what happened? Oh my goodness, you are definitely you behind, boo boo. I'm gonna play some more of this video. Hey, Jay Breezy. Kendra Roberts doesn't know what happened or who he is, and it is such a long story, Kendra. Let me introduce you to, I almost said Kirk Franklin. Jesus. Charlie Kirk. See, I didn't even know his name again. Kirk Franklin. Oh yeah, they've lost their way a long time ago, Crystal. But this gentleman had some very, very not too nice things to say about African Americans or LGBTQ community people. And last week, he was at one of his rallies, talking what he normally talks, what he doesn't. And of course, they give him credit because they always said, he would let others speak and stuff. But have you ever seen him at a rally? How arrogant, how he looked down his nose to people to a certain degree. But if you can usher in LGBTQ, then you can allow anything to happen. Not bashing LGBTQ, but that's something that needs to be kept personal. Thank you. That's a private choice. Thank you. Thank you. It is a private choice. What you do behind closed doors is your business. But see, again, it's escalated into much more than what it originally started out as. Hello, Barbara. But the thing is that this gentleman was involved in more than just what some would perceive as hate speech. And he was, to a certain degree, kind of backpedaling because he didn't agree with what was being asked of him. Okay? Let me start her case, her video.
Same time, I'm like, but it's not defensible to be dumb, right?
No, it's not defensible to be dumb. And he was under an increasing amount of pressure, not just people telling him, oh, well, you know, I'm upset with who you're inviting, but flat out telling him that he was not allowed to invite certain people to his events. They were threatening to pull out money. Charlie was getting a lot of really nasty text messages, and many of them pertaining to Tucker Carlson and Candace Owens. But Tucker Carlson was really the focus when it came to America Fest. How could Charlie allow these debates about Israel to take place? How could he allow Dave Smith, who, by the way, is Jewish, how could how could Charlie allow this other position to meet the stage? Because obviously when people start to hear the debates, what Dave Smith is saying sounds so rational, but it was up to Charlie to not allow those things to happen. And that amount of pressure towards the end, as you see that conversation he had with Meghan was just a month before he lost his life, really, I would say, reached a pinnacle of sorts on the matter of what Tucker Carlson actually said on that stage. Tucker Carlson, while he was on that stage at Turning Point, brought up Bill Ackman. Bill Ackman is a billionaire, obviously. He is also an extremely litigious billionaire. And Bill Ackman was on Charlie about comments that Tucker Carlson had made on that stage. Tucker Carlson specifically asked the question, where does Bill Ackman's money come from? You know, who is this guy? Actually, who is this guy that has this much influence? And like I said, Bill Ackman was not happy about this. And so I would like to contextualize Bibi. Again, these are things Bibi brought up publicly, which he didn't have to. He didn't have to bring up the letter. He didn't have to bring up the phone call, but he chose to do this less than 24 hours after Charlie Kirk was shot. Personally, Bibi, I would have appreciated if you guys used all of your spyware, you've been spying on us for years, to maybe track down the killer. But I guess this is where you thought it was best to do a little propaganda for Israel would be better than us helping us track down the killer. But anyway, so Bibi Netanyahu in that phone call, what took place was a couple of weeks ago before Charlie lost his life. Charlie was in the Hamptons and he had more than one event, but he had essentially what was staged, an intervention was staged by Bill Ackman, because Charlie's rational thoughts about Israel were a no-no. This is not the route that you should be going on. And Charlie was surrounded by his friends, his quote unquote friends. Bill Ackman was very upset and threats were made. That is what I am told, and I will tell you that I am very happy for Bill Ackman to dispute this narrative. In fact, he was asked to dispute this narrative. Max Blumenthal went out to him today, and Bill Ackman came back and said, I have receipts I can show you, and he did not provide the receipts. This is not how it went down. I know it went down this way. I'm waiting for one of them to go on record and to say that it didn't go down this way. It was at this time that Bibi Netanyahu was called and Charlie was invited to Israel. This was an under duress situation, I would say, because I've been in these situations before. When I started asking very sensible questions about Israel, as someone who had dedicated her political life to supporting Israel, many times alongside Charlie Kirk, I was met with the very same pressure. And just like Charlie was being invited to Israel, I was invited somewhere else. And when this arrived to me, it felt like a threat. You know, I got to tell you that. It felt like a threat, like not like, hey, come here and we can educate you because you're my friend. More like, this is your last chance. That's how it felt to me. I can't speak to how it felt to Charlie. And I know that Charlie was offered a ton of money in this moment. A ton of money. Bibi would fund it.
I believe it.
Spend tons of money. And Turning Point, I guess, if it needed to go to a higher level, would have gone to an even higher level than it already was at.
It's funny how money changes things, don't it? They pressured him with money, allegedly, according to her. They were pressuring him with money to stay on the right track. This is where we want you to go. Faith said, Discerning 8 says, I know all about her and her ex-husband. Many of her constituents in the 1st District she was elected in Georgia don't care for her. She moved to be reelected to the Senate. Okay. I think the colored things distracts everything. It's about truth and righteousness and love. You are absolutely right. And I'm just curious to see how this all pans out. Let me start this video back. Come on, Candace. Talk. I would hope so, Diane. Okay, for some reason.
And what BB didn't include there, he declined to go.
Hold on, something happened to the sound. Let me back it up a little bit.
He was being invited to Israel. I was invited somewhere else. And when this arrived to me, it felt like a threat. I got to tell you that. It felt like a threat. Like, not like, hey, come here and we can educate you because you're my friend. More like, this is your last chance. That's how it felt to me. I can't speak to how it felt to Charlie. And I know that Charlie was offered a ton of money in this moment. A ton of money. BB would fund it, spend tons of money. And Turning Point, I guess, if it needed to go to a higher level, would have gone to an even higher level than it already was at.
So basically what she's saying is that Charlie was offered a whole lot of money to stay on track. Stay on the same track he'd been on. And he was feeling uncomfortable staying on track. Some of his views regarding Israel were changing. As you heard him state earlier, he said, yes, I believe in Israel. Yes, I want Israel to win, but this is where the problem was. And what Candace is saying is that he was, in a nutshell, bullied into staying on the narrative that they wanted him to stay on. That's right, Faith. History will always repeat itself. So, again, just to add some clarity as to why she said what she said.
And I know for a fact that Charlie denied that funding. That Charlie denied, and what BB didn't include there, he declined to go to Israel for, I would describe this as like, re-education camp. We've seen it. You made an but we can help you. We just need you to come out to Auschwitz and take a picture. Yeah. We just need you to come to the Holocaust Museum and take a photo. We just need you to go to Israel and we can make this better. Charlie said no to BB. Okay. Bill Ackman, if you would like to dispute that, I would love to hear what you say happened, because our sources and what we have, it's solid. Okay. There were conversations that took place, messages that were sent at that time, and they are solid. So I decided another person that was there, and I am not surprised this person was there. If you've been listening to my show, Seth Dillon, I was going to go to Seth Dillon, and I decided to message him last night about this Hamptons meeting. And Seth Dillon, who is normally very quick with a response, has not yet been able to respond. I'll show you this text message chain. And I want to be clear, I am not someone who normally publicizes text messages. But my friend was shot in the neck, and I'm just not really in the state right now to be polite when it comes to the answers that I am demanding, okay? This is me out to Seth Dillon last night. I sent
Millionaire's Cove, you hit the nail on the head. She's talking a bit too much. And that's not going to sit well with them. She's going public with this. And she's got more receipts than this. But again, this doesn't necessarily this doesn't cover all bases. Yeah, it's true, Discerning Age. She is talking a lot in terms of she's putting her neck on the line. I don't know if anything else was said prior, but if there is any kind of disrespectful talk going on, please refrain from doing that, because we're all entitled to our own opinions. But in a nutshell, we all battling the same battles here.
And Tim Bill Ackman's tweets, because he tweeted, "I feel incredibly privileged to."
Hi, Mr. Phillips. Sorry I missed you.
Have spent a day and shared a meal with Charlie Kirk this summer. He was a giant of a man. I said, any comment on this one, Seth? He didn't answer last night. This morning I said, need a comment ASAP, please. He didn't answer. Then I followed that up and I said, trying again here, you were present when Ackman lost his mind on Charlie and when Bibi invited him to Israel and Charlie refused. Text messages immediately following this meeting are circulating. I find Ackman's statement, as though the meeting was somehow cordial, to be incredibly disturbing. Are you at all disturbed by that tweet? Do you feel, as I do, that this tweet significantly betrays the defined purpose and mood of his, and I presume your, final meeting with Charlie Kirk? ? He was unable to speak to me, but he did place some frantic calls to Turning Point USA. Yeah. You see, I went out to Seth, but I also went out to two other people who were at this meeting, and nobody is willing to go on record. They're all messaging each other, trying to figure out a coordinated response to say that, no, this was all quite cordial, but no one wants to go on record and describe it as cordial because they know someone's leaking, because someone's got a guilty conscience about what happened at the Hamptons. So I will again put it out there, Seth, Bill Ackman, and to the other individuals who I have not yet named, but who are going to be named later this week, who were at the Hamptons when Charlie was put under pressure, when Bibi Netanyahu called him and invited him to Israel, again, in a move that when it happened to me, and it wasn't by Bibi Netanyahu, felt to me like a laced threat. I am inviting you guys, I will give you my platform, actually, to come clear matters up, to tell us what really happened, because, I think Charlie was definitely on the brink of changing some of his perspectives. And I can tell you factually, Charlie was praying the rosary. Charlie was going to mass. One of my last conversations with Charlie was me joking with him saying, just make the last step, okay? You are, I said specifically, you're too smart to be a Protestant. Just take the last step, Charlie. He says, ha ha. He was speaking about Mary. And typically when those steps start taking place, you stop referring to yourself, as I did, as a Judeo-Christian. Again, it is mystifying why, Bibi was out there doing the absolute most to make sure that Charlie was basically remembered as, I would argue, like a Jew, has not been yet mentioned. I didn't hear that. Erica was very clear that Charlie was a Christian, and I believe Charlie obviously was very much a Christian, and that things are not being told truthfully. In fact, I will also call upon, since we're having fun, Turning Point USA to release the audio of what Charlie Kirk, because I was in communication with Charlie at this time, because I knew exactly which donors were pressuring him and why, exactly which people that they were insisting Charlie allowed to speak at his event and why, when Charlie did not necessarily want those people to speak at his event.
Okay, Lizzie, get you some sleep, love. Thank you for stopping by. I appreciate it. Love you, girl.
Okay. I'm calling upon Turning Point to release the footage of what Charlie said to Tucker Carlson before he hit the stage, before, all of that craziness and the response to Tucker Carlson's remarks played out. Charlie was mic'd. Surely Tucker Carlson was mic'd. I know Charlie's mic'd the entire time at those events. So I'm asking for everyone to just release Charlie in his own words. I feel like that's pretty fair, right? Let's stop saying how Charlie felt. And instead, if you're going to hold up the letter, release it in its entirety. Okay? Why don't you release your messages, Bill? I'll release mine. Let's all just be very forthcoming about what took place. In fact, I'm calling upon Tucker Carlson to speak about that. I know what Charlie said to him, and I'm sure Tucker Carlson won't lie about it. What did Charlie say to you? Dave Smith, what did Charlie say to you? What was Charlie? Did he seem like he was treading in the direction? Like, do we feel like what BB is saying is honest, a representation of what Charlie was going through? This is what I want. I think that the thing that we need here, sunlight is the best disinfectant. Now, does all of this mean that Bibi Netanyahu and that this somehow proves that Israel was involved in the assassination of Charlie Kirk? No, we have no evidence of that. We can't say that because there is no evidence of that. But I don't like little lies. That's what I will say. Something that I always say in my household is when there is one lie, there's 20. There's no reason to lie. Bibi could have gone on Fox News and he could have told the truth.
Jay Breezy, you hit the nail on the head. She sounds like a woman scorned. Number one, that was her friend. That was her friend. That was her buddy. And there's some things that we don't know about. But see, the things that she's upset about are not necessarily the things that we are upset about. That's the difference. That's the difference I'm checking out here. And what she's telling, she could very well end up in the same boat. Because this is an international issue now. And all these little idiosyncrasies that we may talk about, bottom line is we know who Jesus was. There's a lot of things that we don't know about because we haven't had an opportunity to study them, because a lot of things were taken from us to study. But the bottom line is that we have been mishandled for years and years and years. And now we've got a name situation. We've got a name situation. And or a nation situation that's even bigger than our little problems in the government's eyes. You notice that they're more concerned about covering this thing up to cover their own behind. If what she's saying or insinuating is true, they could give two jack you-know-whats about us and LGBTQ. Bottom line.
He could have said truthfully that Charlie Kirk has always loved Israel. He has always loved Israel as the Holy Land. He's been here many times. And throughout his career, he has been a faithful supporter of Israel. That's not what he said. Okay. He talks about the phone call and didn't give it the proper context. He held up the letter and didn't give it the proper context. And lies by severe omission, I'd like to be very clear.
That's what politicians do, boo-boo. That's what politicians do. They lie. All of them. This is my whole point. You're focusing on one lie. We're focusing on another. A lie is a lie. Seems to me like all y'all been lying to us. Whatever.
Are lies. Lies by severe omission are lies. You're not going to gaslight us and tell us to shut up or call us anti-Semitic for pointing out the fact that Charlie was having a change of heart about the tactics that Israel was using in America, and that he felt when he had left that meeting that he had effectively been blackmailed. Again, my platform is yours, Seth Dillon. My platform is yours, Bill Ackman. So if you want to clarify it, we can do it in front of millions, okay? Real. Again, you can examine Charlie in his own words. He was starting to talk about topics that you're not really allowed to talk about when you take money.
Okay, I've jumped this forward because she's saying a lot of the same things over and over again, just in different ways. So I'm fast forwarding a little bit. But we need to see what this guy was about. We've gotten an idea, but there's layers to him.
And big checks are being written. That pressure was increasing every single day. In fact, he was telling the truth even about Jeffrey Epstein.
Oh yeah, he was all about releasing those files on Jeffrey Epstein. Now that's one thing he wanted done. But we have a government that doesn't want that done. Wonder why. Exactly, Camille. Exactly. Again, this was her friend. I understand why she's upset. Does she understand why we're upset? Two things can be true at the same time. Ain't nothing wrong with that. Exactly, Millionaire's Code.
Listen.
Epstein with his little friend Ghislaine and Ghislaine's father, Robert Maxwell, who was obviously a spy of the Israeli intelligence agencies, that there was something else going on here. Epstein was not some sort of whiz kid hedge fund manager. Epstein was playing a part. Epstein was a LARPer. Epstein was cast for a specific role, and he played it really well. The sweatpants and the Harvard jacket, the kind of disheveled hair, looking as if he was so smart and above the clouds that he was doing advanced mathematic equations on the back of napkins. But if you actually go into some of the videos of people that met with Epstein at the time, they said he was awfully unimpressive when it came to finance and markets and economics. And it's nothing new that if you're in the intel agencies, you want to try and get as much blackmail on powerful people as possible.
Yes, Mr. Phillips. I heard about that first thing this morning. Absolutely. Absolutely. And we certainly don't hear a whole lot about that right now, do we? Excuse me. We don't hear about that young man from Mississippi. So, it's okay for you guys to have disagreements, okay? But please, let's be respectful of each other's opinions. And, because everybody's not going to think the same thing. There's different layers to this whole story. Faith says, in other words, she's saying is Charlie had come to the truth of what he had been used to do. Right, but not all. That's the point I'm making. He changed his mind about one thing. But he didn't have that epiphany about other things that concern us. You see what I'm saying? That's all I'm saying. I just don't like the arrogance in this man. I'm sorry that he was taken out, but there is some reasonable reason to believe that that young man sitting in jail is not the one that pulled the trigger. This thing is a lot bigger than what we thought.
Easy. not hard. And this is no longer just speculation. First of all, the evidence that shows that Epstein was a creation of either Mossad, Israeli intelligence, American intelligence, Saudi intelligence, or maybe he was just a hired gun. Maybe he was just the guy that countries would go to and park a couple $100 million and say, hey, can you get one of the members of the royal family with a 13-year-old so we can get them to do what we want to do? Members of Congress are actively being blackmailed. The Epstein playbook is being used on a daily basis. Jeffrey Epstein was not a financier. He was not a hedge fund manager.
I agree, LaWanda. I totally agree. Because these kind of conversations can cause division. But the purpose of me putting this up is that I wanted you guys to see yet another aspect of what this is about. Yes, she is. She is something else, just like Charlie. That's the bottom line right there, LaWanda. We got more to pray about than our own issues. We got a bigger issue to think about as well. This whole international, now it's an international conspiracy. That's what it boils down to. When Candace started talking, it became an international conspiracy. That's all.
Jeffrey Epstein was a key player in a multi-decade blackmail operation against the most powerful people on the planet.
And I don't know that to be true or not. Who knows? But Candace seems to think that it's true or possible. And we all know that Mr. Orange Man does not want Epstein to be, he don't want that information out. And if you notice, during all of this controversy with Mr. Kirk here, they decided not to release the Epstein files right under our noses while we're talking about this right here. They made the decision not to release the Epstein files. Once again, this is a distraction as well. They're using this for several reasons. Several reasons. And it all comes back to who? I'll let you decide.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know. It seems to conflict with BB's narrative a little bit. Yeah, just a tiny bit. I do want to say this. It's important because I am angry. I will obviously, I pray to move on from this phase, but it's a fire in my belly right now. To those of you who think that you are going to replace Charlie Kirk, okay? Kings are born. You don't just get to depose and tell us that we're going to follow this individual, okay? I'm one of the Masons of Turning Point USA. You put a shill in Charlie Kirk's chair, in Charlie Kirk's company, and you try to tell us to follow that individual, I will be an enemy of you. There will be nothing that can stop me, okay? And I want you guys to understand, this is not a threat. This is a promise. There will be nothing that can stop me. I will release every single text message. So to those of you who are trying that, I'm seeing the messages. I am telling you to back off right now.
And this is what I wanted y'all to hear. This is exactly what I wanted you to hear. Homegirl ain't playing. Homegirl ain't playing. And you heard what she said. You're almost asking for it. She said nothing could stop her. You sure about that? Are you sure nothing can stop you? Pray until something happens. Yeah, everybody's entitled to their own opinion. There's no need to debate anything in here. It's just one person has one opinion Another has a different opinion. But here's the bottom line. It all affects us, no matter what the opinion. And we have no say in the matter. At least not on this Israeli thing. So she just lit a flame. I'm not gonna play the whole video because this is a long video. But I wanted you guys to hear what she said. Yeah, I know, Barbara. She goes over that stuff too. Let me catch up a little bit. Let me get past this. Let's see. I think this is her little commercial she has to do. Let me see. Let me see real quick.
That's the question that GNO Land asked, and that's why they built GNO Land. They started with Golang, which is a Golang, which is a language that real-world developers already use, and they build a platform all around that. It's transparent, it's intuitive, and it makes sense. Not some confusing system of ones and zeros. It is open source, so imagine GitHub, but designed for on-chain collaboration and composability. Builders actually get credit for their work and they get rewarded. So every time their code gets used, that's the real value in this. It's not likes, it's not clout, it's actual reward.
Okay.
Healthy again with science-backed solutions that you can trust. To join the Gut Health
commercial.
Bastard who shot Charlie.
Okay, now listen to this.
Okay. Let's get into what we know about the Charlie Kirk assassination thus far in terms of what the authorities are telling us. First, I just want to toss it to Michael Savage because the energy of this, what Michael Savage had to say about everything that we're hearing is pretty much all of us right now. Take a listen.
The so-called FBI, something's wrong. I know I shouldn't do this.
Oh, thank you.
I'm risking an awful lot to go up against this FBI, the MAGA FBI. Something's very wrong with what I just heard. I mean, I watched it. I was hoping that they had caught the bastard who shot Charlie. So we saw a video of a person jumping off the roof. It looked very legitimate to me.
Y'all listen.
However, there was no rifle in his hand. Now, the Mauser does not break down very easily, incidentally, for those of you who know weapons. Something's wrong with the whole thing. They're trying to claim he removed the barrel from the Mauser and fit the receiver and stock in his backpack and barrel in his pants leg all in 2 seconds. It is not easy to remove a Mauser barrel or index it after reinstalling and remain accurate. We are not hearing or seeing reality.
Hey, Marie.
And by the way,
hi, Anthony.
The photo of the rifle allegedly left in the woods has the barrel installed. So we're supposed to believe a guy is on the run after killing Charlie Kirk.
Listen, y'all.
And he pauses in the woods to reinstall a barrel, and then he leaves it for us to find, the FBI to find. I don't believe a word of it. I shouldn't do this. I know I'm putting myself at risk, but I can't take it anymore. I can't take the bullshit from this fucking government. It's lying to us.
Uh-oh.
Something's wrong. Something's so wrong. It's sickening.
Here we go.
Sickening is definitely the right adjective, I think, to describe how a lot of us are feeling. And all I know how to do is to gather information, to research, and to investigate. And nothing is making sense. Now, it could not be making sense because we've not arrived at the conclusion. The FBI, I will say, has recently come out and said they're looking for another person. Good, because what we have so far obviously cannot be it. I feel, I was insisting that everybody read that book, Chaos, about the Charles Manson murders. And
okay, I'm going to answer 2 questions. Anthony says, how are you, Auntie? I'm doing great, Anthony. How are you, love? Mr. Phillips wants to know, why is she defending Charlie Kirk? First of all, her and Charlie were good friends. Yes, Marie, you sure did. She said that she has personal text messages from him telling a little bit different story than what we're hearing. Okay. His back was against the wall with the government. They wanted him to continue preaching a certain way, so to speak. And he was starting to have second thoughts of some of the things that he was standing for with regard to Israel. I didn't hear nothing about him saying that he was changing his beliefs about us. But this is now bigger than just a us issue or LGBTQ issue. This has now become a global issue because there was things going on behind the scenes that are much bigger. Much bigger. Yeah, don't get fired, Mr. Phillips. That part, yes. That part right there, Barbara. And the thing is that this is how we perceive it. But they don't perceive it about us. They could care two licks about us. See, we just a second thought in this issue. They're trying to cover their behinds with something big, namely Israel and Netanyahu. I don't understand all the politics behind it, but I do understand that this is more than what we saw happen live. And now we potentially have someone sitting in jail that may not have done it. Absolutely, Retretta. That's all that I'm saying. He was into a lot more than we could imagine. I believe that too, Barbara. And that whole demonstration, crying on the casket and stuff, that's all for show. Because she's planning to take where she's getting ready to pick up where he left off. Absolutely, Fonda. They weren't important enough in a global sense. They just did music. That's how they looked at it. They didn't care about it because it mattered to us. It's not about what matters to us. It's what matters to them. Hence the reason why we are so divided. They don't give two shits about us. Let me move this up a little bit. I'm going to move this forward a lot because, okay, she's going to start going over the timeline. Do you guys want to hear about the timeline of this kid? Or do you want to go over, just skip all that? Here,
when it comes to this, the media, the government, the talking heads, everyone is confusing us about what actually took place with Charlie Kirk, this event, how it got set up. I even would like to know who picked the venue. Okay, here is what we know thus far, and I will tell you who the exact source is and what video they presented. So, the first bit of proof regarding that day happened at 8:07 a.m. According to TMZ, they have footage, and we're going to show you it, which shows a man at 8:07 a.m., so hours before the shooting, wearing a maroon t-shirt and light shorts, as you were seeing on your screen right now, hands in his pockets, that is just walking outside of university grounds, okay? Now, Governor Cox tells us that at 8:29, which is an interesting timeline, Governor Cox tells us that is when the shooter, Tyler Robinson, arrived at UVU campus in a plain maroon t-shirt, light-colored shorts, and a black hat with a white logo. So essentially, he's saying that what that person we saw walking down the street right there arrived on campus at 8:29. I'm going to allow you to hear Governor Cox say that himself. Take a listen.
Investigators reviewed additional video footage from UVU surveillance and identified Robinson arriving on UVU campus in a gray Dodge Challenger at approximately 8:29 a.m. on September 10th, in which he is observed on video in a plain maroon t-shirt, light-colored shorts, a black hat with a white logo, and light-colored shoes.
So what's interesting, already confusing to me, is that TMZ shows him already walking. We're supposed to believe he walked, parked his car, and then walked onto campus. They're saying that after that video that you just saw of him walking, he got into his car and then drove to campus. And then at 8:29 p.m. on campus is when he arrives. Already confusing, but let's just keep going. We don't need to poke holes. Let's just keep going with the narrative. Then we're back to TMZ, and they release that at 11:49 a.m., they have footage of the shooter who has now changed his outfit. We're supposed to gather that again on a doorbell cam, and he's in a different outfit. So this is 11:49 a.m. Charlie Kirk has not yet been shot. Take a look at this. Okay, and for those of you that are listening to this on audio, you are going to see someone who appears to be limping, okay?
Okay, Retreader said, Auntie, I saw this entire video 2 days ago. I saw it 2 times. Those people that was named were not in politics. Well, I mean, Netanyahu is a politician in Israel. So they are just black people being unalive. No. I'm not understanding your question, sweetheart. Right, Fonda. We're not going to know all the particulars because this is deeper than any of us are even capable of understanding unless we follow politics on a daily basis and get right all off into their business. We got our own issues that we're dealing with. We don't have time to worry about what's going on over in Israel. I know that they're fighting over there. They've been fighting. But when it comes down to the issues of this country, they take a back seat. It just seems as though they always take a back seat. And now we're in this position right here. Well, we're talking about one thing. It's all related. This is the same man who had his hands in many cookie jars. But this here proves just how corrupt. See, one thing about it, when you let the devil start messing, they'll turn on themselves. This is what's happening right now. Candace looks like one of us, but she's one of them. And what is she doing right now? Turning. Now, we wouldn't hear nothing, but we're hearing this. This is validation that we've already known. We know that this government is capable of being wrong, being foul, being unjust, being shady. And now this is an opportunity for us to hear one of their own tell on them. Basically what she's saying, I'm going to save y'all I'm going to save you the hassle of having to listen. She's saying that they did something and she's going to make sure that we find out about it. How about that? I'll save you the trouble. Let me play this commercial. Because this right here pissed me off as well. I understand that was her husband. But this right here makes me feel I'm getting exploitation vibes. And I'm sure you guys saw most of this.
Mr. President,
I'm going to play it anyway.
My husband loved you. To everyone listening tonight across America, the movement my husband built will not die. Oh, I love you. I love you. I love you. I know. I love you. I love you. I love you. God bless you.
I love how Mormons have more kids than they can afford.
This is a commercial. This feels like a commercial to me. They are capitalizing off of what happened. They're going to take this and run with it. Candace definitely knows what they did. And she's letting them know, I've got the receipts. They will turn on each other. It's starting to happen. That's my whole point. We may not understand every little thing going on beyond what we know from day to day. Yes, he's the president of Israel. We're not involved with all that day to day back and forth going on. At least I'm not. Yes, that's when he went to Arizona. They took him to Arizona on Air Force 2 with a military escort. Ain't too many people, especially private citizens, basically, that get that treatment. So you know that they were using this man for their ulterior motives. And he started getting cold feet about some stuff. And now his friend is spilling the beans.
By the way, I love how Mormons have more kids than they can afford. I think it's time for Mormons. Let me talk.
I love you. I love you. God bless you. Oh, I love you. I love you. I love you. I know. I love you. Vice President Vance and his phenomenal wife, Usha, for their love and support. You guys honored my husband so well bringing him home.
I doubt if anything happens.
I want to thank President Trump and his incredible family
That
for the
depends
same.
on how you look at it, Faith. If you're watching
Mr.
it
President,
for entertainment, that's entertainment. But if you're watching it to get an idea of what's going on, that's what you're watching it for.
Subscribe to One India and never miss an update. Download the One India app now.
So that's pretty much it in a nutshell. We're witnessing the onset of Satan fighting Satan. That's the best way I can put it. They're gonna take each other down in this. Yes, the president will be attending his funeral. Our government is making arrangements for security. I think the VP too. Isn't it amazing that he removed Kamala Harris's security, and she's an ex-vice president? Isn't that amazing? Exactly, Anthony. Oh, I understand exactly what you're talking about. It's all commercial. It's all for sympathy. It's all for empathy, or whatever what was the name of that movie a long time ago, where someone hired a director to make a movie to make it look like the country was at war? Wag the Dog. I think it starred Dustin Hoffman. Exactly, Retretta. Yes, Discerning 8. He removed Kamala Harris's security detail just a couple of weeks ago, if I'm not mistaken. Look it up. Sure did. And she's a former vice president. This is just indicative of how this country looks at certain people. That's all I'm saying. If you know, you know. So I have one final video I'm going to play for you. I know it's late. We've been doing this for 2 hours and 22 minutes. But Malcolm Jamal Warner's mother did an interview. Finally, she breaks her silence, and I wanted to share this interview with you. It's starting to look like that movie Civil War. If you haven't seen it, you will see the correlation to it. They've never cared about us, Jay Breezy. Never. They try to put on that fake face, but they don't. They don't. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to play this final video just to share with you in the event that you haven't seen it already. Okay? Oh, maybe if I shared it on the screen first. Okay, here we go.
Look at these sleeves. My arm is the same length. Where are my sleeves?
For 8 seasons, Malcolm Jamal Warner charmed audiences on The Cosby Show as Theo Huxtable. The Emmy-nominated actor, later starring in shows such as Malcolm and Eddie and the medical drama The Resident. His love for the arts included spoken word and music, releasing 4 albums. This road may not be mine forever. Even earning 2 Grammy nominations and 1 Grammy Award.
What's the first thing that comes to mind when you think of your son? Oh, that smile, that beatific smile.
His smile, the light of his mother, Pamela Warner's life. But this morning, she's sharing heartbreaking details about her son's death on July 20th in Costa Rica.
I heard you say when you were first told, and you live in a cul-de-sac, and you let out a scream that people from the end of the cul-de-sac came running.
I can relate to this, y'all. Oh, my goodness, I can relate to this. There's something about when somebody comes and tells you your child is gone. That scream. And see, my scream didn't happen in my house. My scream happened on that lake. So I totally understand where she's coming from. My goodness.
Yes, 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 they did. Yes, they did. It was from the bottom of my soul, and what came up and what came out was huge. It was an undescribable,
terrible
pain that resonated throughout my body.
Why were they in Costa Rica? What was the purpose of the
His
trip?
wife and daughter had been in Costa Rica 3 weeks prior. She's homeschooled, and this was part of an immersion program. And so that was the last week was for the husbands to come, and this was the fun part.
But as the 54-year-old actor and another man went into the water at this beach in Limon, they were caught in a powerful current.
They were in the water, I think maybe chest deep, even at that, maybe waist deep. There was an undertow. And my son was not an experienced swimmer. He did not know how to deal with an undertow.
In the aftermath, initial reports stated Malcolm and his 8-year-old daughter were both spotted struggling in the water, something Pamela denies.
From what you have known, she was on
shore. She was not in the water.
She was not in the water.
He was with another gentleman. The same thing happened to the other gentleman, but he was a more experienced swimmer, and he was able to rescue himself. But Malcolm was not. That's the physical part of it, but the spiritual part of it was his time. That was his time, and that was the manner in which he was to transition. And this is what I believe and what I feel.
Pamela says she is comforted by the deep conversations they shared through the years.
I'm very grateful that I was chosen to be his mother.
LaWanda, your question, so why did he die chest or waist deep? He was taken under first. And when you're taken in an undertow, chances are something will, according to what they initially said, he died of asphyxiation due to drowning. That means that something went into his airway, be it water, debris, but at some point he wasn't always in waist deep or chest deep, but he was in fact taken down due to an undercurrent. You can be taken down while you're standing up waist deep, and if you go under that water and you don't know how to recover. And I say what I say because it happened to my son. The exact same thing, except he wasn't in the ocean, he was in a lake. So water is nothing to play with. You can be experienced as a swimmer, but like she said, the guy that was with him was a more experienced swimmer and knew how to rescue himself. Malcolm did not know how to rescue himself in that position. It's one thing to know how to swim. It's another thing to know how to recover from something sudden as an undercurrent. I hope that answers your question.
I think more than anything, I'm at peace with everything that happened. There was nothing left on the table. There was no shoulda, coulda, woulda. I wish I had said this. I wish I had done this. I don't have that. I feel that our journey together as mother and son was complete.
A loving family man, Malcolm is also survived by his wife, Tanisha Warner, and his daughter.
He fiercely protected their privacy.
Yes.
But he did also glowingly on social.
Oh, yes.
Show pictures and just talk about the love that he had for both of them. How are they doing?
Children process differently. She watched them try to resuscitate him. So she saw that. And I know that's awfully, awfully traumatic. She loved her father dearly. She adored Papa. He was Papa. So they're both in deep grief.
Again, I can definitely relate to that. And a lot of you already know my son's story. Both of his kids witnessed him go down, and they are still traumatized. My 19-year-old grandson, well, he'll be 19 next week or something like that, and my 12-year-old grandson both stood there and watched their father die. That's traumatizing. And they live with it even today. My grandson just left here because he had to spend the night for the last 2 nights because he has anxiety attacks. He's had to stay the night here 2 nights in a row because he's got anxiety attacks. Now, he was 11 when it happened. The other one was 4. So they're both going through this. And what she's saying about her little granddaughter, she's in for, well, I'm telling you, I hope they get her the help she needs. Therapy does happen, it can help, but it's still traumatic. And I thank you for your prayers, you guys. But I can definitely co-sign what this woman is saying. That little girl is going to need all the prayers and all the assistance that she can get because she saw them working on her daddy.
Heard from Tanisha for the first time since her husband's death on Instagram, writing, "Thank you for holding us in so much love during this tender time." Now Pamela, who managed Malcolm's career for decades, is working to honor her beloved son's memory. What is it that you would want to say to those that you know have reached out to show their support and their love for you and for Malcolm? What is it that you want to say to them?
I'd like for them to continue to support his legacy and support the MJW Living Legacy page and love where you can, give when you can. Just be better. Just be better, because that's what he wanted and that's what he was working toward. We can all be better selves.
Yeah, Pamela told me that she has her dark moments. In fact, after we conducted the interview, she really had a moment, nothing to share, because she says that's not productive. So she's carrying on Malcolm's work. Yes, he was an actor. He was also a writer, a musician. He was committed to helping young artists. And Pamela's working now to create a foundation in his name to give kids who want to pursue the arts like her son did the kind of support that they need, with the generosity that he gave to so many young artists every day, keeping his legacy alive through the next generation.
But you can really feel her pain and her sense of purpose.
Yes, and that's what she said. Her sense of purpose, and she's always been, and it's comforting when you don't have the woulda, coulda, shouldas, that she was so close with Malcolm, and that this is her mission and this is her purpose to help other young artists like he was. When he was Theo, how we got to know him, and he just blossomed into this magnificent, loving family man. And you didn't even know he was a musician.
No, I did not know that. Yeah,
well-rounded in every way.
Yeah. I love that he kept his life and his family's life private. Boy, and what a life lesson, that she offers in grief.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Thank you, Robin.
All right, y'all. Well, that is the end of this live. I've seen enough. I appreciate everybody being here this evening. Thank you for hanging out with me. I hope that some of this, at least this Candace video, I hope some of it resonated to a certain degree. We may not understand everything that's going on, but we see what the play is. They're starting to turn on each other. And that's when all will be revealed. When they start telling on each other, pay attention. Look at Strahan, he might never mind. Fonda, you ain't right. Hi, Yolanda. Oh, I'm sorry you missed it. You can catch the replay, though. Catch the replay. And again, I want to thank everybody for coming this evening. Let's just love one another. I know we can sometimes will disagree. Thank you, Jay Breezy. Sometimes we can disagree, and it's okay for us to disagree, but we got to be respectful. Okay? So I'm going to go ahead and end this live for now. You guys have a wonderful evening, and I'll see you tomorrow.
Hey, Mickey. Oh, Mickey, you're so fine. So fine, you blow my mind. Oh, Mickey, you're so fine. So fine, you. Oh, Mickey, you're so fine. Hit the like button. It don't cost you nothing.